Well, my dad passed away. Let me go back a little bit because that had something to do with it. My dad died of congestive heart failure. So and he also had very bad arthritis and circulation. So once my mom passed away, I would make it my business to go down on Saturdays. I spend Saturdays with him. He used to love for me to pay his bills by check. He would not allow me to do online banking, even though it was there it was readily available. And I say, Dad, this is so easy, makes it, no, I want to see you write the check. I'm going to tell you how much to write it for. And so that became a ritual. I would buy his groceries. I would dispense his medication, but his health started deteriorating this was now in 2014. So he lived a good 6 years after my mom. When he passed away, I really felt for the first time that I was orphaned. It was a weird feeling to sink in, to know my brother was gone. My parents were gone. At that point, my Aunt Cheryl and Uncle Marty were gone. I still had a wonderful support system, but all of a sudden it occurred to me, I'm the oldest person in my family now. It was just weird. And I felt like there was no more safety net. I really needed to work as long as I could work so I could provide for myself for the rest of my life. So that's how 70 came about. I think I still had a lot of energy. I worked with a lot of younger people, so they kept me energized. And I just felt that everyone told me, Nancy, that you'll know when it's time to retire. Your mind will tell you, your body will tell you, and you'll know when it's time. And when I hit full retirement age at 66 and a half, I started taking Social Security. So I was able to, save that money and still keep working. And then at 70, I started to feel, okay, it's getting time. I never thought 70 is not an age you ever think about growing up.
Yeah.
It's just like 70, nobody thinks about being 70. It's old and it's, and you're an old person. But what I've realized is that if you have your health, you're not old.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a good attitude and a good mindset about going on, you're not old. But when I think the job started getting to me, the responsibility started getting to me. You can't do at 70 what you used to do at 35, and healthcare was changing as well. It's it's big business, and I just knew at 70 that I wanted to retire, and I felt like if I could manage my living expenses well, I could do it. I couldn't retire to a life of luxury, but I could retire to a life that I wanted. And I really, I had gotten so close to Mindy and the children that I wanted to spend more time with them. When Max was born, I really made it my business to go up north every 2 months at least to get to see them and know them and have them know me. Mm-hmm. I always felt like, maybe they'll know me and love me, but I know I need them and love them and want to know them. So, and I didn't want it to be a relationship like I had with my grandmothers. I hardly knew them. They weren't get on the floor and play with you type of grandmoms. And so, I knew that once I retired, I could spend more time going up there. So that's how it became 70.
Yeah. And your dad, how old was he when he died?
98. So he was 98 and lucid and clear and loving until the end. I mean, he was ready to pass. He did not want to be a burden to his family. He would wake up. He was in hospice for a month, and he would wake up every morning and say, "Why am I still here?" I would say, "Because it's not your time yet, Dad." It was It was really a very, it was just a very, I don't know the word, almost spiritual time for me to have that kind of time with him. Um, and, and just, and just watch the same way as my mom. They died the way they lived, with dignity and peace and grace. And just, they lived by example. You know, they just set an example for all of us, for everyone in the family. And they always treated their friends like family. You know, if you were a friend of theirs, you felt like family. So
But then after your dad died, I mean, there were a lot of things. So he used to call you every night.
mhm.
All of a sudden, those calls went away. You used to go there every Saturday and do the shopping and do that. So your life, it wasn't just the loss of someone you loved dearly, but it changed your life. I mean, you had,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, it did.
yeah.
Um, it's a new phase of life. I mean, I still find I wake up every morning. The first thing I do is say a prayer to them. I talk to all three of them, Mel and Mom and Dad, every morning. It may sound a little creepy and weird to my family listening to this, but it is what I do to stay in touch. I feel like they're watching over me and the family. And
So is retirement what you expected?
yeah, and more. I didn't retire, and this helped too. Holy Cross hired me as a consultant part-time. Excuse me, and I worked for another department until 2019, part-time. So I fully retired in 2017 and then worked part-time till 2019. So it was a gradual thing for me, which made it much easier. And what I was doing for this other department was facilitating some employee training. So I got to be back at teaching. So it sort of came full circle, and I did enjoy that part of it. And at the same time, I started going up to New Jersey for the summers. So I spent 2 whole summers in New Jersey with the kids.
Mhm.
And, it just really solidified my relationships with them. So that was nice too. But then when I came back and I I downsized, I moved out of the townhouse and moved to just a 1 bedroom, 1 bath apartment in closer to downtown Fort Lauderdale, because I always had this dream of living near a city
Mhm.
for at least a year. And the closest city I could come up with was Fort Lauderdale.
Mhm.
Not a big city, but it's certainly grown a lot. And I did some homework, and I found a tiny but cozy 1 bedroom, 1 bath apartment right near downtown, and I love it. And I love the area. It's in a little area called Flagler Village, a lot of apartment buildings going up here. And and so I decided what did I want to do with my time, because I couldn't retire to nothing. And so I started volunteering at JAFCO, which is a Jewish organization that helps with adoption and specifically children of domestic abuse. And so I started volunteering with them. So I've volunteered with them, and I started attending some classes from FAU's Lifelong Learning Institute. And I've always considered myself a lifelong learner and would like to be learning until my dying day. And just fell into an opportunity with FAU to work on their Lifelong Learning Institute chapter that they were opening in Fort Lauderdale. And a friend of mine, BJ McKenzie, introduced me to their classes, and they were looking for volunteers to serve on their advisory board. So I started doing that, and it's blossomed into a lot of work. but very, very enjoyable. And I've really met some wonderful people from the university and also through the advisory board. So I'm doing that. And I just picked up one more volunteer job with the University of Pennsylvania, has the Pennsylvania Literacy Program. It's called the PLN, Penn Lit Network. And Mindy has become affiliated with them. And so she just got me an opportunity tutoring and reading to children remotely with that. So I'm filling my time with those kind of activities and doing a lot of online learning and seeing friends and family. And I have to say, Nancy, the beauty of this time of life is that you can pursue interests and you can take a day of rest if you want, and you don't have to set the clock if you don't want, and you can say yes to something when you want to say yes and no to something when you want to say no. And it's really a very fulfilling time if you have your health.
Right.
And so that's retirement has really surprised me, because I really didn't know what. And many people said to me, you'll know when to retire, but don't retire to nothing.
Right.
And that's you know, so important to be able to pick up a hobby or fulfill a dream or do something that you really would like to do.